We'll see. And recording there. Okay, welcome to CHAPS Darkside, episode 11. Tonight we happen to have a couple guests from the United States. Most of them we've been focusing on the Canadian side of things. Fellow members of the CHAPS family, what I would consider now the new generation of paranormal personalities that you'd be seeing on the telly from Ghost Nation, among other eventorial things. And obviously CHAPS family, we have Cody, Desbiens and Satori Hawes. Welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
It's nice. It's a very, very fledgling podcast right now, and I'm still making mistakes, so I try to keep it as casual as I can, to be honest with you. I'm not a high production sort of guy. As you can tell, it's kind of this is the CHAPS home office, the little, my wife's cricket machine and all that noise, and so this is where well, it's her, she's the boss, so it's her room, and I get to use it whenever I sneak off and do these little podcasts and such.
That's all right.
In years of marriage, I've learned very much that I just do whatever she tells me to do, and we're going to have a successful marriage. And she's on the team. She's on the team. She's the one that produces all of our videos and that. So if I mess with her, then everything goes straight to hell. So I guess, and it's an ironic thing for me because I want to ask you, of course, about your beginnings. And I know, obviously, Satori, I know your dad, you know, and you, like my kids, I brought my kids, between Sandy and I, we've got 5 girls. And
Wow.
6 of my 7 have all been on investigations. And ironically, tonight, my youngest, Fiona, she's 21, is headed to her first investigation without me. So she's actually doing it now. The last time she did an investigation, she was just a guest. She was coming along. She was 14. She's the one that's kept the interest. So, guessing, I know your dad's done the same. I've seen that the siblings have all been out and around and done.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how many of you are still out and doing, but what got, so I know that's kind of like where your beginnings came from, but what got you hooked, and Cody, what got you involved? Like, what was your beginnings, both of your beginnings in the paranormal addiction that we all get involved with?
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of, my dad likes to call it, passing down the staff. So I was born into this. Obviously it was around before I was even thought of being born. My dad founded CHAPS, and that was starting to become big. I was actually not even 4 years old when the first show took off.
Right.
So I really just kind of knew my dad as somebody that would go, his work was helping people. That's all I really knew.
Right.
So growing up with that, I always thought, I want to be like Dad. I want to help people. So when I got older and I started to realize more of what he did and how logical it was and databased it was, I was really interested. So I investigated a lot growing up. We had a hotel in New Hampshire. That's where some of my first experiences took place. It was the most, in my opinion, the most haunted place I've ever been to, still to this day.
Been there.
It's amazing. And growing up in this kind of family and this kind of household where it was all okay and all natural, I guess I just kind of picked up on it quick. So that's my story.
Yeah, and for me, like a lot of people in the field, I had an experience when I was young. I was probably about between 8 and 10 years old, and I wasn't feeling well. And I went to my parents' bedroom to, tell them I wasn't feeling good, like all little kids do, and they invited me to spend the night in their room. And I tried falling asleep. I kept rolling over onto my sides, and I couldn't fall asleep. So finally, I opened my eyes, and I saw a bunch of what looked like, I don't know, it would be like tribal men. Some were holding masks up to their face, and they were going through the wall on the left side of the headboard, circling the bed, and going through the wall again on the right side.
Right.
And it petrified me. So I pulled the covers over my head, and I tried waking up my mom. I tried waking up my dad. And, neither of them would wake up. So I just ended up pulling the covers over my head, and eventually, I woke up, and ever since that day, I became very interested, and I kind of got the ball rolling as to what I had seen, and I started, going to the library and taking out a bunch of different books on the paranormal, everything. I just wanted to learn it all, and I became very interested into, electronic voice phenomena and some of the pioneers of that field, Frederick Jurgensen, Attila von Sosling, Father Netti, Father Gamilli, and, just reading all of their work and buying recorders, buying different types of recording devices, whether it's analog, digital, different types of microphones, and, just kind of went headfirst into all of that. I joined my first team when I was about 16. It was hard to find a team that would take on a 16-year-old. I wasn't concerned into going out and investigating. I just wanted to get with a group of people that, were already established, knew what they were doing, had the equipment, so I didn't have to buy it all, learn how to use the equipment. TV shows had come out onto the scene, when I had my experience, so that's how I found out that people actually did this in my area. So that kind of started the ball, and then I joined CHAPS probably 6 years ago now, and been doing client cases pretty much every weekend since then. So it's been a really cool trip for sure.
If I could ask you, obviously I know Satori didn't have the problem because, or is it Tori or Satori? I heard you.
You could call me either, yeah,
Okay,
I go
good.
by both.
Okay, so I know that obviously Tori would have grown up with the supportive aspect of it. Now, my parents were, I don't know, sort of split on this matter. I grew up in the spiritualist church on my mom's side. So my mom, I had all the mediums and that around me, which I don't tend to prescribe a lot to. My father was a right old school Welshman, where your mother is bat crazy and still to this day doesn't talk to me about any of it, nor interest. Mom had passed on long before I started the team, but did you grow up with that kind of support in the home, or was it like, okay, you do what you do?
Yeah, so I kind of got lucky in a sense. So the house I grew up in, the one I had my first experience in, I lived with my mom and dad on the second floor, and my grandparents lived on the first floor. So my grandparents, are old school Catholics, and they really didn't understand the whole aspect of, looking for spirits and things like that. But my mom, on the other hand, was totally into this. My family was always into Halloween, and, we'd be the most decorated house. We'd make the front page of the paper for being the most decorated house for Halloween and things like that. So we were always talking about ghosts and ghost stories and things like that. And to join my first team, the only way they would let me on is if, I came with one of my parents.
Oh.
And so she actually joined the team with me when I was 16 and stayed until that group dismembered. And then I went on to, join other team. And so yeah, my mom was really into it. My dad is sort of into it. He definitely, when the shows come on, he'll watch them if I'm on them, or if Tori's on them.
He's jumpy though.
He's very jumpy, and I think he also got brought up in a religious background. So I think he's just kind of on the edge. He's interested, but not full blown.
Cautious.
Yes, cautious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Understood. Well, that's excellent that you at least have that support. That's great. That's great. Now, you'll see how professional I am. I've got a little scratch piece of paper as the questions. Okay? I'm not a production guy, and my writing is horrible. So as I say right here. So now you're both involved with TAPS and with Ghost Nation. So, I know that things with TV shows ramp up and take time, and I know that when you investigate on a show, it's not you go in 6 hours later you're gone. It's a procedure. I've chatted with Jay about that extensively. Do you still get to do client investigations with TAP's home team? Are you still getting to do that?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think every weekend we do a CHAPS home team case. We mostly do CHAPS home team cases. Like my father says, Tori, Cody, we'd like to have you on, come with this case. It's a big case. Obviously, we're like, okay, we'll take a week out of our schedule. We'll do it because obviously we love that. We love traveling and seeing the places. But yeah, we do a lot of CHAPS home team cases. That's really mostly what we do, aside from the show.
Yeah, and the good thing is that there's enough people that, you know, if we're gone for a case, then, you know, they have it covered for sure.
Yeah.
And, which is good. You know, now with the current situation of the world, you know, things have, you know, slowed down for safety reasons, which has turned out good, at least for production side of things. But, you know, we're still out on cases every weekend that we're available to, for sure.
What we do.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, tonight is our first in-house case we've had since March.
Good to get back to it, isn't it?
God, is. You know, I haven't been on one in a little while. I've been off, and I'm working more on production. But my team really, I mean, they've been just trying to get the oil can going, and you know, I know that from speaking to other people in the TV industry, they said it's one of the worst things, really, because when you go from doing regular helping people to you're now doing productions, which are fun. I mean, you're doing cool places, but you've got, you know, you got a camera guy and a sound guy and a this guy and a that guy there. And
Yeah.
as much as it's exciting, it loses a bit of something. And then, you know, when, you know, say, I forgot who I was speaking to about it, but, you know, 2 years they hadn't done a home, you know, that really sucks, you know, because you kind of feel like I'm an actor now, and though it's exciting, it does lack that you're actually the research behind it, and having all the people around you kind of takes away that moment, because let's be honest, as investigators, we all want to get the shit scared out of us at least once. You know, that's exciting, it's thrilling to have that something drop behind you, that thrill, and it's hard to get that with a room full of production. I think, I know that because I've had a few pilots shot, and it really kills it for me personally. But, you know, I mean, when you're on, one of the great things, of course, in the United States, between the US and Canada, in Canada, when something becomes abandoned, the land gets sold, it gets knocked down, done. There's nothing. Down there, historical societies buy it, and we get to go investigate it, so we get to do a lot of road trips down there. Like, you know, every year our team would go down 2 or 3 times, whether it go to Ashmore or West Virginia Penitentiary, you know. Oh, would love to have that up here.
Lucky.
You know, and COVID, I mean, the one thing, and I'll give our Premier of Ontario a bit of kudos. He really clamped it. Like, it shut. It shut. So, and even now there's no more than, I think even at large events, no more than 25 people allowed. So our cases are relatively low. On the other side, though, I mean, COVID's affected all of our teams. Like, you just can't do it.
Right.
You just can't do it, and that's that. But it's good to see you guys are, you know, slowly getting back into the groove. We're slowly getting back into the groove. That's good for everybody around. So it hasn't hit anybody. Your team's been, everybody's been fine.
Everybody's been good. Everybody's been good.
Very strict. Very strict.
Yeah.
Like, if we even do a case, they have to make sure the person's healthy first, temperatures are normal, everything. And then the entire time, we social distance in the room, we have masks on, we try to have windows open, everything you can think of, because America is a lot worse than Canada right now. We are the worst.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people on social media didn't understand, you know, why production, you know, started back up again, and you know, they've done a phenomenal job of trying to keep everybody safe. I mean, everybody that's involved has to take a COVID test before you go out and film every single episode.
And then take one when you come home.
And then take one when you come home. You have your temperature checked like 3 times a day by a production assistant. Like Tori said, mask on all the time.
Purell, hand sanitizers everywhere. You can't even open a door without using Purell first and after. It's insane.
Yeah, so they definitely take you know, all the check marks to make sure everybody's safe. And if anybody, you know, in the slightest bit doesn't feel well, you know, they kind of quarantine into a hotel room until, you know, production
And
over. So
you guys have the
they've
same.
done a great job.
You guys have the same test down there where they jam that hockey stick up your nose or whatever.
Most states,
Most
yes.
states, yes.
Some
Oh.
states, like Massachusetts. is
Yeah, I got
just-
lucky. Yeah, it was just like the size of like a little Q-tip, and I got to do it myself, which was amazing.
Good.
So I got lucky. In Rhode Island, her dad didn't get so lucky.
Oh, my dad hated it so much. He said if he knew it was that bad, he would have never done it. So it was bad.
Oh, I could just picture the bitching session after that. Oh, I know how Jason goes off, so I could just. All right. Obviously, I'm familiar with TAPS family. I've been a member since '08. I've been the international liaison for TAPS. I love TAPS. The reunions are amazing. Do you know what I mean? The feeling, and I'm going to go on a little bit later about paranormal community and how addicted it is. But now, obviously, your father has. A lot of us didn't see it up here in Canada because we don't get Travel Channel here. We get Destination, which is about a year later. So Upro. Tell me a bit about Upro.
So it's like you said, which is a really great way to put it. It's like an extension, and it kind of pulls off with TAPS. So it's more like it's like a branch off that unifies every team. So TAPS is TAPS. There's TAPS family, and there are sister teams, all these things.
Right.
But with UPRO, it's more like everybody around the nation, everyone around the world can connect and get in touch with teams in their area if they're experiencing something. Everybody's included. My dad likes to say we are the ghost nation. So he created UPRO with Steve and everyone to include everybody that may not have felt as included with just TAPS and TAPS family.
Oh.
So UPRO is pretty much everyone. Everyone's UPRO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of the TAPS family teams around the states and around the world are kind of like the parents to all these other teams that are being involved in UPRO. They're kind of like still setting the guidelines and things like that.
Right.
And just a sense of a contact point. If there's other teams in a state, they can contact the TAPS family TAPS family team in that state, and just direct contact. And it just kind of broadens the community a lot more than TAPS family did, which is hard to believe because TAPS family was amazing with bringing everybody together, and UPRO just bringing it to that next step.
It was created by TAPS for more people than just TAPS.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's awesome too, because at least it's almost like having a better business bureau of paranormal, assistance. You know what I mean? You can go in,
Yeah.
and you could be I could be like a smaller team. I'm not involved with TAPS family, but I could be henceforth extended that reach to get that sort of assistance, which is good.
Right.
I know that a lot of the times up here in Ontario, like we've got Ontario covered. Ontario's the size of Texas, and I've got a couple of offices across the province. And look, I mean, they get kind of like other teams get snippy. I'm your TAPS family. I'm like, well, then this Upro will kind of unify them into that kind of look. If you're a good team, paranormal community, right? And,
Yeah.
And I guess I'll speak to it now. But like speaking about the paranormal community as a whole, it's a sickeningly addictive thing. I mean, like we all know that there are bad teams that do exist, but the good teams are amazing, and I love networking. I've been fortunate to work with, about 40 teams. TAPS family, I've come to the States, I don't know how many times, and I've worked with Kristen. I've worked with WPRI. I've worked with teams all across. I've gone down to Virginia. It's been a bloody obsession. But one of the things that I will say about the paranormal community, I know this is something, Cody, you and I kind of share. I know that years back you weren't well, and the paranormal community rallied behind you.
Absolutely.
So I've been sick for a couple of years. I've been off work for a couple of years, and when it first started, and I still don't have a diagnosis. I was 240 pounds. I'm now 140 pounds. Terrible, right? Don't know what it is, but I'll tell you. You know what? The paranormal community. One team started a GoFundMe page. Kristen Perkins started a T-shirt selling thing. between the two of them, a couple $1,000 raised just to help out while I had the buffer between getting, another income. And
Amazing.
to this date, nobody rallies behind me like the paranormal community does. If I'm having a bad day, and well, we all make a dumb Facebook post once in a while, and the people that post are part of all those teams out there that I've dealt with, and my clients that I'm friends with, and I think, what the hell, you guys all pick on the paranormal community for being a bunch of, weirdos, which we are, and that's fine. And look what that's the family, and CHAPS family really does accentuate that. And if Upro can extend that, damn, that's amazing, right? So, all for it. Now we'll get on to happier chitty chat stuff. Okay, third question. That was the third question. Fourth question. Jesus. You gotta have a favorite location, and you gotta have a time when you got the snot scared out of you. I mean, a legitimate. Okay, I gotta leave the room, guys. I know I'm an investigator, but we're going to the washroom for a sec.
Okay. You're on the top of your head?
So there was this house, and I can't say the name because it was a residential house at the time, but it was built roughly 1600s, and there were documents that went back to that time. So we just call it 1600s house because it's easier to remember it that way. And while there's a spirit who was coming through and was very aggressive. Like things were moving, things were opening, you hear like bangs right in front of you, almost purposely to startle you. The owners of the house even warned us before going in. They were like, oh, this mean man in the house throws things at us sometimes. And we didn't believe it. Well, we did, but we were skeptical is how I would say it. And we went in until it started happening, and you'd say something and a drawer would fly open in front of your face. So it was a really active case. I was sitting on the ground and I had my arm on a chair and like a couch, and I was sitting there talking to this entity, and I was like, you can't just be mean to people for fun. You can't just do that. You're torturing people. So it's like, you need to cut it out. They're going to set their ground rules. Either that or you can't be here. And as I was saying this, the chair moved back like super fast, like someone pulled it out. And the weird thing is it was almost up against the wall, so I don't even know how it really did that. It like a couple inches, but it felt bigger. And we knew it wasn't, at first I was like, did I move it? But I fell out from under myself, so obviously I couldn't have really moved it. And two, the entire couch moved at the same time, not one side, the other side. It was almost like someone just yanked it perfectly back. And I remember I told Cody, I was like, I need to get up and get some air, because whatever this was just tried literally making me crack my head open just because I said something to them. I remember how startled I was when that happened.
Yeah, you were freaked out, and you had a right to be for sure.
I was actually, the only time I was really, startled. I wasn't scared, but I was startled.
Yeah.
So.
I'm a very jump scare type of person, so I have a lot of jump scares. But one eye-opening experience, not so much scared, but eye-opening experience that still sticks with me to this day and really makes this worthwhile. Is, we had another client case, and we're kind of briefed on the situation before we go in. Brief history, we get a case report, and they had mentioned that they had a daughter that had passed away, but they didn't think that it was her that was haunting the house, because activity was going on before she had passed away. And we didn't know how she passed away, and so we didn't even touch that subject because it recently had happened, and it was still a touchy subject for the family. So we went in there, and they gave us the tour of the house, told us about claims, and one of their claims was they had what we call a shadow person that would walk on the bottom of the stair landing, at nighttime. So one of my things was, all right, I want to get a camera at the bottom, aiming towards the bottom of the staircase. So I climbed up the top of the stairs and was, on one knee trying to play with the settings on my full spectrum camera. And our case manager and another female investigator were down the hall, talking, catching up, because it had been a week since they had last seen each other, so just talking about what they had done the previous week. And we were there in October of 2015, still remember it clear as day. And I had heard what I thought one of the females say, are we going to be there on September 10th? Or are you going to be there on September 10th? And that caught my attention right away because we were at this location in October, and I couldn't understand why we were booking something out a year away, an investigation, which I thought it was. So why are we booking something out a year away? So I stopped what I was doing, I turned and looked at Tracy, who was talking, and I was like, what are you talking about? What are we doing, next year? Why are we booking something else so far? And, they had that blank stare on their face, and there's a lot of trust in our team, and if they say they didn't say anything, then I absolutely believe them. But I kept going back and forth with them because, I wanted a voice of reason to what I had just heard. And one thing I always do is I always turn on one recorder when we enter a place, and I just leave it running the entire night. And I take it with me everywhere I go and just set it down somewhere. And when I had walked up the stairs to set up this camera, I put the recorder down halfway up the stairs. So I was like, all right, if I heard that, if I'm sane and I heard this voice say September 10th, then it's going to be on that recorder. So meanwhile, I'm trying to throw headphones on and listen to this recorder to prove, I'm not crazy. And they absolutely believe me either way. And while they're doing that, they're yelling down to one of our other guys, asking if, the date means anything to the family and stuff like that. You can kind of see where this is going. So, listening to the recorder, long story short, I get September 10th on the recorder. I was like, all right. It sounded totally different than what I had heard with my ears. But it just shocked me. Like, why was I the only one that heard this? Why didn't everybody else hear it? Was I meant to hear this? So, he comes back in and, looking like a ghost, no pun intended. And, he's like, September 10th, their daughter was getting ready to go back to college, and she went to Boston to take some pictures with her boyfriend, and unfortunately, fell through an air conditioning duct and passed away. She landed in a room with no doors, no windows, so the firemen, took a really long time to reach her, and it wasn't on the blueprints of the building. And one odd thing was her boyfriend claimed to have a full conversation with her, and the fireman said it was impossible because, she unfortunately passed away as soon as, she hit the ground. And so when that happened, it really, like, what the heck, why is it? It was just such an eye-opening experience, and the first time that I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, it's a sad situation, but what an eye-opening experience. And that, startling in a different sense, for sure.
Isn't it amazing sometimes when you, like, I've been investigating 25 years, and I've run this team for 15. We hit around our 500 investigation mark early last year. And it's amazing sometimes when you do get that piece of evidence that kind of puts you back into that spot where, okay, this is exactly why I'm doing this. Because
exactly.
You're going to go through the period of time where you're like, maybe I'm going to start questioning myself, or maybe I'm over debunking myself, or maybe this has run its course. And then you get that shot, right? And you're like, whoa, and you're like, we're both startled, but at the same time saying, this is why I have to continue, why I'm doing this.
Exactly.
So that hopefully one day I can get that truth. That's amazing. Okay, and what about locations? I like cool locations you've been to. You got a couple favorite? I like Moundsville, I like Ashmore. Those two have been really personal in my heart. Ashmore was great. The States, you guys just have so many amazing locations down there.
We do. It's hard to pinpoint one for sure. Do you have one there?
No, I mean, when we did the Orange Correctional Facility, that was phenomenal.
That was
phenomenal. And of course, the Spalding Inn, like I said, that's one of the most haunted places ever, and I got to grow up there, so I was lucky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Spalding, we had the reunion there for a couple of years, and we stayed in the carriage house. I stayed in the carriage house, and yeah, I remember our curtains, middle of the night, swinging back and forth, and our team used to we used to do the fundraisers for the children's hospital, and so we had all the gift prizes in our room, and it would sound like somebody was walking all over all the gifts and stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was just, I remember my wife who would come. Sandy doesn't get scared at anything. I really am the chicken shit between the two of us. She's she's very logical and couldn't care. I know at Waverly, she spent the night lying in the morgue tray. You know, she doesn't care. But that night, we were all out having drinks, and she had surgery a week before, so she had to go to bed. She came running out to us at the fire pit because all of the gifts had been crumpled down on in the first room in the carriage house. So yeah, I can recall what that place was like.
Yeah.
Hey, cool, right? Wish I was there for that. So next question is about trends. You know, I mean, obviously, we all watch paranormal TV. I watch less of it because obviously I'm either annoyed badly by a show and or sometimes a show really does the same modus that we do, so it's kind of like just watching us on TV.
Right.
But they all seem to have trends with the toys they use, but I know for me, like the STS Connect system,
Yeah.
some of that spirit box stuff kind of.
Yeah.
I'm more on the let's keep it to an audio, and that.
Yeah.
I do have an STS that was built for me. I've
Right.
used it on every investigation I've had just to see if that unicorn pops up one day instead of
Yeah.
the hanging arm in the door, the table that turns into a friggin' cricket. Oh look, he's shaking my hand. Look, he's shaking my hand. No, he's not. No, he's not. It's a program that makes the table turn into something because it thinks it's a body. But regardless,
Yeah.
what kind of trends do you guys see happening right now? Like, is there any trends that you see happening in paranormal that maybe you wouldn't like to see or would?
I'm gonna say it. I don't hate on people. I respect everybody's opinion paranormal wise. But spirit boxes, ghost boxes, sorry if anybody uses them that's listening, but I just don't. I'm very logical, like my father. I'm like, let's stick to the equipment that was used for scientific purposes that we use to, try to prove this field. I don't think a box spurting out words is enough for me to believe it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
There's
that,
a lot of variables for sure.
yeah, that SLS cameraman, I can take or leave too. Yeah.
Look, I mean, there's things I'll use because
Yeah.
it's like beta testing. It's like, hey, if this comes up with something one day, great. I don't ever
Yeah.
expect it
It might be something we least expect, that's going to give a good result. So it doesn't hurt at all to test this stuff and get back to
But don't base a case off of it.
Yeah, exactly. It makes your case off the stuff that gets results for sure. I think another thing that we're seeing a lot, still is applications and things like that.
Oh.
That people are claiming, to see ghosts through them or things like that. And there's a lot of
My
stuff.
ghost radar says I have something right in front of me.
Exactly. And we're seeing a lot more of that a lot more people taking that stuff, super seriously and getting upset if you try to correct them on certain things. It's a tough spot to be in for sure.
Also, another thing I'm seeing a lot of people are very dead set on it being something, but I think 90% of the time it is not something, are orbs.
Oh, good God.
Everybody eats dust or bugs, and they come to us and they're like, look at these orbs I caught. And there are pictures we get all the time where we go, that's not a bug, that's not dust. We can't explain them. But then there are some people that are like, look at this, and you see wings on it. And you're like, that's a bug. And then they get upset with you.
Or it's got a face in it. Wait, there's a face in it. It's a different color.
We have been told that because we have been on television, we aren't real investigators and we don't know what we're talking about.
Of course.
And that's the thing. It's like we've been investigators for a long time and we know when we see a bug in your camera.
Yeah, I know. You should trust us more than you're investigators before, doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, that blows my mind. Like, why not trust us more? It doesn't make sense.
I can't tell you how many videos I've done online of like creating orbs just to show people, look what happens.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have a whole. I put up like a collage together of bugs that look like things that people show us. And whenever I see something posted to either Ghost Nation thing or one of the CHAPS pages, I always post that in the comments, and I'm like, not jumping to judgment, but just take a look at this and, decide for yourself. Because I'm not going to, there's no way anymore I'm going to say, this is right and, this is the way it is. People have to make up their minds for themselves. And if you put it out there, they can take it or they don't.
Well,
So,
if something 99.9% of the time can't be proven, then you can't even bother with it. And I know as far as the spirit box goes, I have 2 rules on my investigation. 1, no spirit box, they give me a bloody headache. And 2, none of that stupid flashlight test. I've seen that used, luckily years ago. I don't see it so much now. But let's loosen it up a little bit so that the contact leads, just sort of touch, and oh my God, the flashlight went off. The use of the word portal as a rule for me. I hear every time we go to do a house, well, we have a medium in, and they say that there's a portal.
Or everything's a demon too to some people.
It's always a
Everything's
demon. It's always on consecrated ground. I don't know, whatever it is. And almost every single location, and I get a lot of commercial places upset with me in the States because I tend to call this one out. And that is, every hospital I investigate has had a doctor that's killed himself there. There's a nurse that's hung herself. A nurse was attacked. There's a grumpy maintenance man. Like, they're always the same.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, maybe they do, but that's what that is there. Now let's see what was questioned. What was the next question? I totally lost it. I think it's on number 6. Trying to be real here. Okay, this one's going to be picking on you. You and Dustin obviously get along really well, and this is cool. Dustin's a cool guy. You know what? And where the hell did the karaoke, in-car singing, old people stuff come from? Because I'm 50, and I like, banging it out to Judas Priest and Alice Cooper, and you're in there doing Elvis, man. And I know that Dustin's a little older than you. I know he's like in his early 40s. And you're probably, I'm thinking, maybe in your late 20s, mid-20s. Elvis. You've got great voices, but I'm going to pick on you about it.
He's obsessed with Elvis. Cody's favorite, his idol is Elvis.
Yeah, I know. If you only saw a little bit to the left of the screen over here.
Everything's Elvis. Off screen and over there, everything's Elvis.
Yeah, and I really don't know how that started. I think my grandparents, I probably heard them listening to this type of music. And, that's where that got started. And oddly enough, Justin is obsessed with Elvis as well. And, there's just been so many weird similarities that we've noticed. Oddly enough, our fathers went to the same Elvis concert and sat like 2 rows apart from each other. And, obviously, I wasn't even thought of back then. And, it's just, our birthdays are a day apart. Just so many weird coincidences that have happened between me and Dustin. So, so the Elvis thing, yeah, I'm not sure how that started, but I like a whole collection of different type of music. I definitely love 80s rock and things like that. But yeah, Elvis has kind of been like the quick thing for karaoke carpool stuff.
My parents listened to big band music. Sorry, it didn't work on me. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming, Tori, you have better taste in music, right?
I'm very, I'm into older music too. Like, I love the 70s, 80s music. My favorite band is Fleetwood Mac. I have that kind of taste in music. Aerosmith, I love all of those big bands. Those were that's my jam. That's my jam.
Yeah,
So, you're let off the hook. I know your Elvis stuff is over here. All I can see is your Josh Gates light thing off in the background that he has in his office. So then that kind of brings me to the next question, because I had to mention Josh. Who's on? You guys are. I'm going to say, because of your dad, you guys have been involved with the TV and higher profile stuff than the majority of investigators. But there's still got to be somebody that is on your must-meet list. Like, would there be somebody you would meet that? Look, I'll tell you what. I talk to people that are in this field, and they always have that. No, nobody I ever meet would ever really blah blah blah. Shut up. Okay, there's got to be somebody. Like if somebody said to me, hey, Alice Cooper is doing a meet and greet tonight, you've been invited, I'd scream like a 3-year-old girl. In the world of the paranormal, in the world of what we do, who's your giggle list? You know, what's gonna drive you to meet?
Interesting. Do they have to be alive?
Give me one live, one dead.
Okay.
Harry Price
So-
is my dead.
Yeah. So for the dead, it would have to be one of the EVP people for sure. Whether it's probably Frederick Jurgensen, because he was amazing. So many recordings, books written about the subject, and everything else. Living, geez, that's a tough one. Let's see. One person I wanted to meet, which I ended up meeting, was Steve Deshavi from Dead Files. Amazing, funny guy, and got to hang out with him. I wanted to meet him because I really, being a homicide detective and things like that, I wanted to talk to him about, which was funny enough, I wanted to talk to him about his, approach to, investigating and stuff like that. And when I finally got the chance to, sit down and talk with him about his approach to investigating, he was like, "Yeah, man, I don't believe in, I don't believe in any of this stuff." He goes, "I just go in there and I'm a homicide detective. I'm trying to figure out the case. I want to know the history of the location. As far as ghosts, I've never seen a ghost. I don't believe in a ghost." And he's just such a funny guy, totally amazing person, and very honest and straightforward guy, and somebody, as soon as I started watching the show, I wanted to meet him because, I just, with his history and things like that, before I got sick, I wanted to become a cop. So it was right up my alley, to want to talk to him. And, but yeah, if you ever get a chance to meet Steve Deshavi, definitely do it.
All right, yeah. All right.
I'm still stuck on this. I mean, Dad, either Ed and Lorraine Warren, because I would love to have sat and talked to them about their cases and more details and stuff like that, how Lorraine sees things. Like, I would have loved to sit and talk about that. Or Hans Holzer. I would have loved to talk to him because he was very data-based. Living, it's kind of a hard question because I've met a lot of people I wanted to meet in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
It's hard, yeah, that's what I feel. So maybe somebody you want to meet and you already met.
I'm trying to think. I loved talking to Andrea Perrin for a little while. She was a very sweet lady. I loved talking to her. Maybe Zappos.
John Zappos?
John
Yeah,
Zappos,
Zappos. Maybe I could talk to him. I'd love to meet him. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, probably.
You haven't met him yet?
No, I haven't yet.
What?
I've not met him yet.
I've had a couple of Facebook conversations with him, but and the one thing about our field, we do get around, and we do have conversations with most of them out there. I have, Ben Hansen, awesome guy. But Ben's helped me find some equipment. Everybody through. Nick Groff, nice guy, very nice. To me, as far as I'm concerned, what I like about some of these guys is that you get a different personality on TV than what you get in person.
Yeah.
But Nick's a very just chill dude. Very passionate guy. Some of them, I'm not going to say their names then. They are exactly what you see on TV, and they're not what I want to talk to. I'd like to meet Gates for some reason. Josh to me just seems like such a, I don't know, man, I don't know what it is about him. He's very well rounded, he's got a lot of cred behind him, and he's funny. You know what I mean? So.
He's a great guy.
I agree with you on that. That's another person I like.
And I don't watch the show. I don't watch paranormal shows now for learning and education, but I do for entertainment. And when I'm entertained, it makes me happy. I got to be honest with you. I'd love to sit down and have a couple drinks with the guys from the Ghost Brothers, Dale and Spratt, and those guys make me laugh my ass clean off. They just look like a lot of fun. Who?
Dakota Layden.
Yeah.
Dakota. Yeah, I love the. Yeah.
Destination Fear.
Yeah, Destination Fear. Interesting.
And that's a show we haven't got up here yet. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's definitely different than some of the other stuff that's out there.
There's been.
It's different, and I like that it mean, I like that they're taking a completely different approach than what we would take. And I think they seem, my dad has talked to them and he says they seem like great people and they're interested in what, CHAPS does and what my dad does. So I'd love to sit down and talk to them.
Hey, everybody does things differently. If you get results, then I guess good for you.
Hey, as long as you're not lying or scaring people, that's okay.
Right.
So, all right, simple last question, and then I will let you on your way. What is upcoming for both of you? What's happening? What's your 6-month prospectus? What's next for you two, the paranormal couple on Instagram?
That's right.
Yes, that's right. Well, the new second half of Ghost Nation is coming out after that hiatus with COVID and all that stuff. Some great locations. I can't say much, but there's some great locations. I'm excited for that. So we will be both on 2 separate episodes. Like, you're on an episode and I'm on an episode, I think. Lots of home cases. What do you think?
Yeah. The season starts, at least here in the States, on October 17th. So it's Saturday night. And there is a big Halloween special coming up in October if you're in the States. And so we started doing a lot of social media stuff, posting different videos that on our travel. Every single day we're posting a video on Instagram or TikTok, just trying to have fun and keep busy. We're going to be going to Michigan in March. That's the first Paranormal coming up that we're attending in March. I think I'm not sure on the exact date off memory, but it's in Michigan. It's called Photographs Tower Fest. It's a charity event to raise money for dogs, which we're really excited to go to. We'll be speaking there, and a lot of other events coming up.
Keep your eyes out because we're trying to get back into the events now that COVID hopefully is going to die out soon. So keep an eye out, I guess.
Yeah. Follow us on social media.
Follow us,
I'm at Cody Desbiens on Facebook.
Satori Hawes, yes. Pretty easy.
Like you said, Paranormal Couple on Instagram and TikTok. So, yeah.
Well, you guys still have TikTok. Doesn't it?
I know, we still have it right now. It might be gone.
It might be gone. We'll still have it in Canada, so if you make it, we'll see it. We just won't see your TV shows for a year, and we can't cross the border to the locations for a while, so because that's still closed. So, guys, I really, really appreciate it. I had a great time on this chitter tonight, and it takes me no time to get it online, so I'll send you guys the links. We chat soon. Hopefully we meet sooner after that.
Hope so.
Thank you.
Be
Thank
good,
you so
be
much.
safe.
Thank you,
Thank
too.
you.
Have a good night, guys.
You too.